Welcome everyone. Skill approach and psychodynamic approach is the topic of discussion for today. We'll understand what are the various leadership skills that is required, what are the approaches that will determine an effective leadership over the followers. So let us understand psychodynamic approach. What exactly is psychodynamic approach? There are many things to it. Probably first and foremost things are your thoughts, feeling, and action, as in what is been imbibed inside you. What are the thoughts that that is crisscrossing your mind? What are the feelings, and what are the basis of these thoughts and feelings? And thereabout, these are two things which have been imbibed in a person, and the action is the outward display, or should I say the behavioral aspects of it altogether. So this is the personality that we are talking in terms of psychodynamic approach. Again, I repeat, thoughts, feeling, and action is what we are looking into it. If we can tap into the pattern, if we can dissect these three patterns, understand these things about the individuals, the followers, the groups, and you would have actually understood the nerve that the people are feeling about it, are passionate about it. So yes, psychodynamic approach is all about thoughts, feelings, and actions. Now let us understand the trait approach, the style approach, the situational approach, and the psychodynamic approach. Essentially, the leadership approaches that comes around it. Trait approach is all about having an elevated position in the society, in the realms of the affairs, having a bit of a power centric approach that goes around it, the trait approaches. In the style approach, it is the way you conduct yourself. Is it your concern for the production, or probably for the people? How do you conduct yourself? What are your pain points, as the cases might be? Situational approach is basically, it's the way a person handles himself, carries himself, and probably manages other, and that is what situational approach is all about. It catapults. When I say it, the situation catapults a person to a leadership position. Yes, we are interested in psychodynamic approach. This is the personality type that we would love to dissect in this particular presentation altogether. Let us understand this personality characteristic. Uh, Believe me or not, every one of us have a definite and a distinct personality. This is basically because of the values, the principles that we believe in, which is deeply ingrained. Absolutely, it is ingrained, and no matter how dogmatic are you in changing them, it becomes very difficult. I am not stating that it will not be changing, but inside, or probably it's in the very latent affairs, that the similar principles and values are imbibed into it. Probably you might, for the time being, display a different kind of behaviors, different kind of action, but believe me or not, this is a part of a personality characteristics which is absolutely ingrained into one's person, into one's thoughts. So other assumptions, actions result from subconscious motives and definitely the feelings, which are basically again developed way back, long back, and this is in the subconscious level. On conscious level, you might groom yourself, you might think yourself, or should I say, you might rationalize your behaviors altogether. But essentially, when it comes to uh, in a desperate situation, your latent feelings takes over, and it is those subconscious motives and feelings that comes around. It's an emotional residues of past experiences. Let me quote what Sigmund Freud has said. It talks about past to create cures, as in a cause and effect relationship that we are talking about it. For every effect, what are the causes around it? What are the underlining streams that has been flowing around it? So personality typologies on psychopathologies are erotic, are obsessive, and narcissist. So there are three things that we talk about it in terms of erotics, in terms of obsessions, and in terms of narcissism, or eroticism, obsessivism, and narcissism. That is what Sigmund Freud said. We will discuss about these three topics in the subsequent three slides. Here it comes. Erotics. Erotics is phallic in nature. It's all about seeking love or to be loved. It is probably is a sense of belongingness, or probably acceptance that we are looking into it, which is much more, the demand is much more for the sense of belongingness than for that probably of admirations or respect. So The moment it is becoming erotic, it is we are looking into somewhere down the corner. We like to identify with a group of people, as in with a family, 12 into people, and probably we are would love to be into that protective environment. Probably we tend to become needy, dependent, and so on and so forth. So yes, Freudian personality and leaderships, the erotic characteristics is all about love and to be loved. Basically, this is all about it. Now let us move to obsessive. Now, this is where a person comes and becomes obsessive, or should I say, becomes passionate about one particular aspect. It can be anything, it need not be love, it need not be money, it need not be power, it need not be food, it need not be travel. You name it and we have it. It need not be knowledge. So, obsessive people might have a finickiness about one particular aspect. So, living up to the standards, following rules, and it is consciously you're doing it. So it is all about being obsessive. You want to acquire knowledge, and that is your obsession. You might have finished one aspect of the knowledge, one parameters of knowledge. Let's say you want to learn everything about a person. Once you have done understood the personality types, you want to learn something about the stock market. Probably once you've done everything about the stock market, then you want to know something about the financial world altogether. You have learned everything about the financial world. Now you would like to know about the biological, or should I say the medical world. So you have a dearth of knowledge that has been there, and you have that hunger to probably to learn everything as far as possible. So it's all about maintaining status quo, searching for improvements, be it in knowledge, be it your competence. It can be aggressive and sensitive to criticism, as the case might be. This exactly is the fraudulent personality and leadership that comes around here. Let us understand narcissism or narcissism. This is where you actually takes pride and actual accomplishment. The superiority complex creeps in. It has self-directed humor. In fact, now you start believing that this is what exactly is all about it, as in you are the center of the universe and everything revolves around it. It is absolutely being very clear about what you are looking at. It is paranoid in nature, overly competitive, and it actually isolates the person from the crowd, from the people, from his family or her family, as the case might be. So this is what Freudian theories of personality and leadership is all about. It is all of erotism. It is all of obsession. It is all of narcissism. Let me add one more thing of the marketeer, which I've taken it from Eric Fromm. Now, marketeer is one fellow which it is all about the environment that is more concerned about. It is being dynamic in nature, readily adapt to the change, seeking emotional growth as and when on required. It depends upon the marketing perspective of one's person as such, of one personality, facilitating networking, collaborations, as the case might be. It may eventually look into a short-term growth rather than a long-term perspective. Probably that is the reason why marketeers, certain events, there are certain events which are blitzkers into the in the moment. It actually catapults a product. It actually catapults a person into a limelight. But for how long? That is very debatable. Now, this is what we are looking into. The visionary aspect is all about it. Then comes the productive narcissist. So vision for future is important. Risk takers, wonderful, disasters, leads organization in times of crisis, change and growth. Now, this is what the productive narcissist is all about. It when you are self-directed and probably future oriented, you love taking risk. You like to take risk not only in the times of growth but in times of disturbances also. These are the reasons why these are the qualities which is imbibed into entrepreneurs and all the leaders, the business leaders that we comes around it. There is what we call it the make or a break situation. People actually takes to the top or probably doesn't makes a impact at all. So that is what. So let us understand the industrial social character. It is what I call the bureaucratic in nature, as the case might be. This is what we are looking forward to. In industrial social character, it's everything which you are doing, you keeping a tab onto it, you making a note around it, and that is what bureaucracy is all about. It is all about formal hierarchy, as in who reports to whom, who has more power, who has the vested interest, what are the resources, who is going to distribute them. This leads to a forms of a rules and regulation, which is all about stability in an organization or probably loyalty. It is excellence, striving, paternalistic natures, security to through strength is what we are talking around it, and this is what exactly needs to be understood every now and then. The social characters are the macro personality that we talk about, is the shared emotional attitudes and values in context. Now, what are we looking into it? In a macro personality, the values and context are the big shift in terms of industrial knowledge. Now we had that industrial economy, and now we are having a knowledge-based economy, and that is what personality characters comes around as far as the social regions are concerned. So this is what we need to understand every now and then. Let us understand interactive social characters. Now, I have said from industrial to knowledge economy, industrial economy to knowledge economy. Similarly, when it comes from, I have also said the communities characters as the case might be. Now, when it comes to interactive social characters, we need to understand there is a global market, and the global market is all very much accessible. It means you are producing at one end of the globe and probably consuming at a different corner altogether. Why is it this possible? Because of the rapid technological changes, employment uncertainty that comes around it. These are the factors which is marring throughout the length and the breadth of the planet. You have this thing irrespective of where are you producing, where are you consuming, what is happening. A sense of insecurity has always have been crept into the present generation, and this is what we're looking into it. Despite there is no dearth of opportunities because of the global market, because of the rapid technological change, this employment uncertainty is a hard fact of present day structure. Now we'll talk about the diverse familial structure. Now, what are we looking into it? It's no longer a traditional family that has been maintained around it. Now, the family consists of single parents, divorced couples, blended families. That means people from different families coming together, staying under a roof, probably to share their cost. Probably they have some kind of relationship. Then we have the LGBT couples, which are not heterogeneous in nature, probably homogeneous in nature as far as the LGBT couples are concerned. We now have an, instead of paternalistic or mothership, it's all about, yeah, we used to have a paternalistic society or a maternalistic society, which is basically a society led by males or led by females, as the case might be. But nowadays, it is all about group identification, or peer identification, and we would love to flock within our peers as such. Now, this is the interactive social character that is changed, or should I say, it's been evolving. It's a continuously improvement. It's been done, and these have been done creating a lot of networks and using networks. Now we are looking at collaborators instead of followers, even in the social media, even in the technological terms. It is all about how we can enrich each other rather than probably just hang on or piggybacking onto somebody else. So it is a shift from followers to a collaborator sense. Now, let me bring you the next concept of Jungian personality. We have spoken about Sigmund Freud. Let us understand what Jung said. Now, he actually determined there are basically four dimensions from which 16 characteristic personality would come up, evolve eventually. So we will discuss about the four dimensions, and that is what we talk about it. So people who are extroversions vis-a-vis introversions, people who are sensing oriented vis-a-vis intuition oriented, as in reality and the concepts and theories are concerned. So people who sense probably, and people who intuit might think it out or feel it out altogether. There is something called thinking vis-a-vis feelings, as in objective and subjective in natures, the judging and the perceiving in natures in terms of planning and spontaneity, as the case might be. Let us understand the personalities thereby. Basically, let me take you to the personalities one by one. As far as Jungian things are concerned, I'm giving a brief input and brief introductions to what exactly the personality characteristics is all about it. Remember, as a leaders, you need to understand the skill approach and the psychodynamic approach of your followers to be an effective leaders in the sense. So, as an extrovert, a person would be very energizing, very communicative, always open, transparent, and there would be a lot of overload of informations or communication. Absolutely, at the peck of a pan, you need to know, understand everything is given to you. So person is very energized, very communicative, very open, and very loaded with all informations and data per se. On the contrary, there is a person called introvert. The personality is completely dynamic or completely opposite to the extrovert. This person is very quiet, is probably always immersive in his or her thoughts, very slow to decide, obviously, and is hesitant, is not very confident of what the actual outcome is all about it. So it's basically a reserved personality I'm talking about. An introvert is a quiet, a quiet person, a person who thinks, boils everything over his head or her head before coming up to a decision. Even so, the moment you are boiling everything on your on your brains, probably you are slow to decide, and probably you either might have missed the opportunity or definitely are very hesitant. Then we come into the sensor personality, or person who senses everything. Now there is a knack in a person who's very practical, probably prefer actions, unimaginative, detail orientation, as the case might be. A person who's very practical, prefer actions, unimaginative, probably as and when on thing what is actually happening and giving a reaction per se at that precise moment. So probably leaving no stone unturned in the form of imagination. Whatever he or she sees, whatever he or she feels, whatever he understand or dissects, accordingly the reaction is very practical oriented. This is a person who is absolutely into details. Let us understand intuitor. Now intuitor on the contrary would be thinking, will be practical, will precede everything a few steps back and forward altogether before coming into action. So he or she is a strategic thinker. This person is future oriented. Probably the future might be hazy, might not be specific, but nevertheless, this is an intuitor who is into future orientation, thought processes, what if and cause and effect relationship, what if then situation analysis keeps on happening. Let us understand the personality called thinker. Now, this is a person who is very objective, who is very rational, who understands the outcomes and the process to the outcomes minutely. This person is a problem solver. Person is very critical and demanding in the sense, in terms of being very sure about what to do, and is definitely insensitive. Why insensitive? Because this is an outcome oriented person. This is a person who wants to see a greater good for greater person, not specifically to some particular person. There might be casualties in the due process, but that is a part and parcel of the game. So this is a personality, as in who is very objective and rational, and the sense around it. Let us understand a person who's feeler. This is a person who actually sees everything, all the perspective, all the situation through his or her heart. As in, they are very emphatic, they're very cooperative, loyal, indecisive, and changeable. Should I say the word is changeable? Why? Because they go with their emotional. They are very much into the emotional flow, and accordingly they will catapult is to be done and how it is to be taken forward. This is being as a feeler, as you might say, people who are very emphatic, very cooperative, very loyal, indecisive, and changeable, as the case might be. Let us understand there are group of leaders, there are person who are judges. Now a person who judges will see the world not in gray but only in two colors called black and white. So basically under is very decisive what is to be done and what is to be avoided, sticks to plan, very rigid and very inflexible. Did I say that these are the person who doesn't sees the world into gray color at all? This is a person who sees world into right and wrong, black and white. So basically a very decisive, rigid, inflexible, as the case might be. Perceiver is flexible, curious, informal, scattered, and unfocused. Now, what are we talking about being flexible, curious, informal, and scattered and unfocused is all about it. A person who actually adapts with the passage of time, adapts with the passage of the situation. As the situation becomes dynamic, probably the outcome differs. So a person is completely flexible. He or she is very curious, likes to keep a tab on the things, likes to collect the data, try to make the sense out of it, no matter how informal, how unscattered, or how unfocused it is. Now, let us understand as a leader what are the appropriate use of sense. One, you have to be completely aware of yourself. You need to understand what are the pros and the cons of any situation, any decision. Clarify, remember, clarify all opportunities as in your personal, which goes in your favor. Predict the others behavior. This is very, very important. If as a leader, if you can predict the behaviors of the others, you have already won half of the battle. So estimating the other types, as in what kind of person you are actually talking to, assuming your preferences are same for others, and justifying the behavior thereby. Let us understand the unethical use of MBTI. I need to quote around it is Myers-Briggs type indicators, one of those personality styles which I am not probably including in this presentation, because this presentation will become a wee bit longer and doesn't make sense altogether. Remember, most importantly, we are into skill approach and psychodynamic approach, and I have covered all the psychodynamic approaches till now. So just touching over MBTI, it is a measure of a skill, so probably cannot be used for hiring, selecting, promoting, and rewarding as far as Myers-Briggs type indicators are concerned. Let us understand the applications. The applications understand your type as what kind of person you are, how what kind of person you are actually interacting with, what are the types of the followers. If you can segregate them and probably accordingly administer your communication with them, you will make a wonderful impact, and I'm sure people will accept you with all the qualities that you will imbibe into, and you will eventually become a successful leader. With these few words, I would love to end this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.